Okay. We do have a quorum, so I think we'll go ahead and call the meeting to order. We're good? All right. Call the meeting to order at 6:30. If everybody could stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right. Roll call. Sorry. Lori or whoever.
Ken Kingshill.
Here.
Mark Pascarella. Andrew McGee.
Here.
Philip Snowberger.
Here.
Cody Adams.
Okay. We do have a quorum. So, item number 2, approval of the agenda.
Mr. President, we do have one issue with, a small issue with the new business matter, BZA 22-010-VA White Lick Creek loading berths. There was I think a slight mix-up with publication that was published in a paper that's not consistent with our rules, and so I think Mr. Shewart's here to address you on that, but from my perspective, it needs to be continued so we can get the notice corrected.
Okay. Petitioner, you can go ahead and approach the podium.
Yes. Brian Sheward, Kimley Horn, thank you for, I'm glad I'm not the only petition item tonight. We sent out the mailings. We ran the public notice in the Indy Star inadvertently, which is allowed in many other communities, but in this community, it's either the Lebanon Reporter or the Zionsville Current. So we will republic notice through the Reporter, and we'd be asked if we could be continued to the September 1st BZA meeting.
And as long as it's continued by this board, they do not need to resend the mailed notices, as long as we continue it at this meeting.
So, sorry about that, but thank you.
I will make so do we need to vote on the continuance first?
Yes.
Okay. I will make a motion to continue docket BZA 22-010-VA White Lick Creek loading berths until the September BZA meeting.
Second.
Okay, there's a motion and a second. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. We'll see you next month.
So then we just need a motion on the rest of the agenda.
Oh, yes. Anyone else entertain a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve the agenda as presented without the White Lick Creek loading berths.
Second.
Motion and a second. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 3-0. And then we have July 7th, 2022 meeting minutes.
I'll make a motion to approve the July 7th, 2022 meeting minutes.
Second.
Motion second. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Is there any public request to speak on topics not on the agenda? Seeing none. Seeing none online. We will move on to presentations. There's no presentations. We will move on to unfinished business. 5A, BZA 22-008-VA Culver sign variance. Sure, I'd like to go ahead and approach the podium.
Hello.
Hi.
My name's Lauren, and I'm with Green Sign Company on behalf of Culver's. And we're here to ask for a variance from the ordinance that sets the heights and widths of the sign, and then for the electronic message center.
Is there anything else you'd like to present, or?
If you guys have any questions about it.
Okay. Okay. Staff report?
I mean, I can pull up what I had. Okay. All right. Good afternoon. My name is Desiree Ricos, and I'm presenting for the variance of Culvers. The applicant is requesting two variances from the sign requirements located in the Anson PUD. The first is the request to vary from the allowable heights and widths, and the second is to request to have an electronic messaging board. The site in question is approximately 1.27 acres and is located at 6296 Mills Drive in Whitestown. The property is in the Anson PUD, and it is part of the business district. The property also lies within the I-65 corridor overlay zone. The ground monument sign is proposed to be placed at the southwest corner of the site near the roundabout for Mills Drive and Perryworth. The first request is to vary from the approved PUD signs. The changes to the sign include a 65 increase in the overall height from 9 feet to 15 feet, an increase in the surface area of 127% from the approved 40 square feet to the requested 90.93 square feet. There's also a change in the Revels height from a 3x2 to a 5x2, which is an increase in height by 66% and a width of 151%. The town is putting forward an unfavorable recommendation. We do not believe they meet the criteria for approval. There are three criteria for approval: that the approval will not be injurious to the public health, safety, morals, and the general welfare of the community. We believe it does not meet this criteria because the approved variance will be injurious to public health, safety, morals, and general welfare because the required signage requirements are appropriate for the surrounding area and the site in question. A site of the proposed height and width would be uncharacteristic style to the adjacent signs and will be a distraction to those who travel past. The second criteria is that the value or use of the adjacent area to the property included in the variance will be affected by a substantial adverse manner. The use or value of the surrounding area will be affected negatively if the variance is approved because the Anson area is developed under similar architectural and development characteristics throughout the PUD. A ground monument sign that does not meet the criteria of the Anson PUD will be out of place and not fit the character, style, size, scale, or scope of the surrounding properties. And the third one is that the strict application of the terms of the ordinance will not result in practical difficulties as applied to the property for which the variance is sought. The strict application of the graphic and PUD ordinances does not result in any practical difficulties because they are still permitted to have a sign on the premises and enjoy the use of the monument sign. The approved sign graphic for this site already permits a larger dimension as a grace to the outlots that did not have frontage along Whitestown Parkway. Other sites within the shops of Anson are complying with the signage requirements. The second request is for the variance to allow the use of electronic messaging on the ground monument sign. Staff is recommending favorable recommendation to this. For the first criteria, we believe the approval of the variance will not be injurious to the public health, safety, morals, and general welfare because electronic messenger boards are safer than manual changeable copy letter signs for personnel change. The use or value of the surrounding area will not be negatively affected if the variance is approved because electronic messaging boards are permitted in other parts of town, including at the gas station across the street. And the strict application of the ordinance will result in the practical difficulties as applied to the property, which the variance is sought because the ordinance was approved in 2004 at a time when electronic messaging was not as popular or as accessible as the manual changeable copy letters. The age of the PUD limits the ability of property owners, including the site in question, to adapt and compete with the changing market. If the board does choose to approve this variance for the electronic messaging, staff does recommend adding the conditions that digital messaging comply with the standards of the UDO in section 8.8 as follows. 1, the display. Electronic changing messaging display may be in full color. 2, that the minimal display time. Electronic messaging display must not change more than once every 8 seconds. 3, transition method. The electronic messages display must change in an instant change method. And 4, illumination signs. Electronic messaging electronic changing message display must incorporate automatic dimming technology that adjusts to ambient light conditions. Displays must have a brightness no greater than 0.3 foot candles above the ambient light conditions. And 5, maintenance. Electronic change messaging display that ceases to operate in normal programmed manner must be repaired or disconnected within 48 hours of its initial malfunction. Um, to conclude, that staff is recommending that the ground monument sign comply with and match with the approved Anson sign detail and height, width, and overall appearance. If staff is agreeable for the electronic messaging board, if the board and company logo fit together within the overall sign display area, labeled as 60 by 96 on the approved Anson detail.
Thank you. Is there any public request to speak on this topic? Well, you're the petitioner, right?
Yeah, we'll give you an opportunity to reply to staff in just a second.
Is there any online? Okay. Seeing none in the room and none online, we will close the public hearing. Yeah, you can go ahead and step back on.
My name is Bob Goins. I'm with Meyer Foods Management and represent Culver's. And apologize for jumping ahead there a moment ago. I don't know the protocol. So, first of all, I thank you for the positive recommendation for the electronic message board. And I do understand the concern with the size of that sign. We would like to propose a change to that sign. And to do that, would that require, can we do that now, or would that require another meeting next month and another submittal?
So I guess there's a couple ways that could be handled legally. One, you could request that the board continue and you could present a revised sign variance and staff could review it for the next meeting. That'd be one option. The other option is we'd have to submit a new proposal, and I would have to go through the whole new notice requirements thing. So I don't know how staff feels about a continuance to consider, or if you prefer them to file a new application.
The reason I asked, we would like to change that sign to fit the size requirements.
Under the Anson PUD?
Correct, which would be...
If you're willing to fit the size requirements on the sign, then you could simply withdraw your variance for the size, and then we could move forward on the electronic messaging display, and then you won't need to submit another variance. You'll just need to submit a sign permit to make sure you fit with the regular sign sizes. So if you can redesign the size to sign to fit within Anson, you don't need a variance. That's all this board looks at, is we're gonna change variance. So we just move forward on the electronic one. If that's what you want to do, we can withdraw that first one.
Can we do that? Okay. I would like to do that if we could, yes, sir.
Okay, so your petitioner's withdrawing the request on the size then.
Request on the size, yes.
Okay.
Do we need to vote on that?
I don't think you need to vote on their withdrawal. If
Okay.
they want to withdraw, I think that's okay. So if they're withdrawing request number 1 and leaving with request number 2, then that's the only item before you is the electronic messaging.
Just need to make sure it's fully reflected too in the minutes, right? So,
Yep. When we vote on it, we'll just vote on item 2 and make sure the minutes clearly reflect, Lori, that petitioner withdrew on BZA 22-008-VA Culver sign variance, that the variance 1 for the size and width of the sign was withdrawn.
thank you.
All right. Thank you.
Okay, is there any discussion or questions on the second request?
More or less just one question. Did you foresee any issues with complying with the staff recommendations as far as the sign being in full color, how it changes no more than once every 8 seconds, has to
You guys
change
agree with the
instantly,
conditions?
dimming,
Yes, we are. That display only displays the flavor of the day. So when it comes on the morning, it is a static display. It'll say one thing and one thing only all day. It does not flash. It does not rotate. It's just static all day long. And then the next day it changes to a different flavor. That's it.
I think one of the conditions, though, we may need to look at those conditions, because I think one of the conditions states that it can't be on the same display longer than 8 seconds or something like that.
It's that it may not change
Oh,
more than once
more
every
than-
8
okay, I'm
seconds.
sorry.
So as long as it's whatever's displayed is 8 seconds or longer,
Or longer.
Yeah.
All right, oh, yeah, sorry.
no, that's fine.
Yeah, I was gonna ask, and you just answered it, but, what's the content,
Mhm.
of the sign? You're
Yeah.
not advertising anything else, you're not putting up any community type of, announcements or
No.
anything like that?
I mean, here in the beginning, it may say now open.
Yeah.
When we open, but normal case, it would be whatever the flavor of the day is, that's what it's gonna be, and it's gonna be that all day long. We are open if something's going on with the city and you want us to put something on there, we're more than happy to do that, but typically we do nothing but flavor of the day.
That was gonna be my main question. You're not gonna utilize it to advertise anything else other than your own
Nope.
business, correct?
It's us only, yes, sir.
So that's kind of a trademark type of thing for Culver's, having that electronic display. 'Cause it seems to me, I mean, the purpose of an electronic sign is the ability to be able to change the information that's on there.
Mhm.
Yet you're putting up what I would think would be a more costly sign, just to have a static display, but I guess you change it every single day.
Yeah, we change it every day, and part of it also is it eliminates the human error part and the potential vandalism part with the manually changeable copies, because we, on occasion, will get one change to say things other than what we wanted it to say. So, or misspellings and things like that, but, yeah, that's the whole purpose.
Did this have a public hearing previously?
Entertain a motion.
I will make a motion to approve. John, how should I word this? Request 2?
So, yeah, so you are, in the staff report, I would read that it says, approve on, if you look at page 3, where it says request number 2, so you're approving request number 2, which is the request to permit an electronic messaging board, with the findings as presented by staff and the conditions as recommended by staff. I think that'd be your motion.
Okay. I will make a motion to approve request number 2 on docket BZA 22-00VA Culver's sign variance, to include the staff recommendations as well as the conditions as presented. One of those being included in there that the overall display area complies with the Anson PUD.
Second.
A motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion passes 3-0.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. We see item B, BZA 22-009 UV. Sprague billboard has been withdrawn, so we won't see that
Are they
again.
coming back, or is that for good?
At this point, they're not coming back.
And we already continued item 6C, so is there any other business or announcements from staff?
No new business, no new other business at this time.
Okay. Entertain a motion to adjourn.
Make a motion to adjourn.
I'll second it.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
All right, have a good evening.
Easy for everybody, it was the same motion.